This is my second time trying. I got kicked off, so I don't know what happened. This is Amy Lee, the Productive Mama, and today I'm going to talk about how to fit exercise into your very busy mama lifestyle. And I'm hoping I can be heard through my little microphone here. I had plans to have my cute logo and a banner again, and it just didn't work out. I went to use the camera, and it wasn't working. But let's dive right in. This is definitely a time management issue for busy moms because we are supposed to exercise and move on a regular basis, but we're also supposed to do about 10 million other things on a regular basis. And if you don't naturally love to exercise, whatever it is that you do, run, walk, play a sport, then it's even harder to fit it in because you kind of feel like you're, forcing yourself to do it. So hopefully you have something that you really like. That's sort of the first step because then it's easier to prioritize. And hopefully it's something you actually can manage to do, not all of those activities work out for every stage of your life. I would love to go skiing every day. That's not going to happen. So we have to find a few other things that might work for us. There's always an argument for fitting it in to just do it first thing in the morning. That's a great argument because then it's out of the way. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's done and you can get on with your day. But there's also a really strong argument for getting more sleep. So that's a really strong argument for me. But there was a point in my life where I had no choice. I had to leave the house at 5:30 a.m. if I was going to exercise because it just couldn't happen any other way. This is when the kids were little. Now, at that time in my life, I also wasn't getting that much sleep, so it was really hard. But I did it for a while because I didn't have any other choice. So you might really have to consider that. Is early morning the only time that I can really fit exercise in? Now, when I just had one kid, exercising was pretty easy because the kid can go with you to everything. Take a walk, take a jog. That's not me. I don't jog, but I know people who do. Go to a gym. I would go to Jazzercise and I would take my one kid with me, and it was easy to have her go to the babysitting room. Things are a lot easier, and then when you have more kids, it's a little harder to get that in. When I had my second kid, she was not one that was going to easily stay with the babysitter. So that got harder and harder. I also had a husband that couldn't really commit to being home by a certain time when classes started. So things got a little tricky for us there. So if you have more than one, or even if you just have one, finding activities that you really like to do that you can do together to get out and move is sort of the next tip. So you can take a walk together. If you have a double stroller, if you have one more kid, if you have a kid that's slightly older and can walk fast with you if you're really trying to get your heart rate up. Family activities, bicycling. Again, sometimes those are great family activities if you're really trying to get a good workout in. If you're like really hardcore, that might be harder. I am not. Swimming together. A lot of families like to go to the climbing gym. So things you can do together, even better. And then, of course, there's working out at home. So I have gone through various stages of this. At one point, my husband was gone a lot, and the kids were really young, and it was really hard to take them somewhere else. So I tried working out at home. But what's hard about working out at home is that even now, and I do it somewhat regularly, I am always looking around and seeing what needs to be done. Something pops into my mind like, oh, shoot, I forgot to send that email, and I'm really tempted to stop and go do that. Or if you have really little kids, they are climbing on you and don't make it easy to get that workout in. So those are some of the cons. Those are some of the things that make it harder. and you have to force yourself to do it. That was the hardest thing for me. I would say, yeah, I'm going to work out today, and then I have all these distractions, and I never just made myself do it. The pros are, boy, when it's cold or really hot, you don't have to leave the house. What are the other pros? Oh, I don't have to like get dressed in outfits that match. That's a big pro for me. Don't have to like shave or do my hair. Those are really big pros for me to staying at home. And it's right there, and often it's cheaper if you're not, rather than a gym or something else that you have to pay for, your house is paid for. Well, not really, but you don't have to pay extra to work out at your house. It's often cheaper. So let's see. Oh, I was going to talk about over the years the different things I've done really has varied depending on the needs of my family. So I love jazzercise. I've gone to jazzercise for a long time, but it just didn't work for a while when I had a kid that would not do well in the babysitting room. Like I said, my husband could not commit to being home by the time I needed him, so I could leave to go to a class so that I could leave the kids with him. So I stopped for a while, and then eventually I went back, and when the kids could do the babysitting room, and now they're old enough where they don't have to go with me. So look for a facility with childcare. And then when I left jazzercise, I actually did curves for a while. I wasn't even sure if they were still around, so I looked up, and there are some in my city. The thing that was great about curves was that you could show up at any time, and you kind of jump right into this cycle of exercises and leave when you're done. It was like a half hour. You're supposed to go around 3 times or something, I think. So if I needed to sleep in a little more, if my husband was home late, or if one of the kids had a meltdown right before I was leaving, whenever I showed up is when the workout began. It didn't have a hard start time, so that was good. Yeah, Mel. I am working out more out at home, but I do still have to like really schedule it in. And then if I found if I left the house, I have an appointment, I would go and I would enjoy it. And I also had no distractions while I was there of all the million things I needed to do. Okay, so then I went back to a jazzercise, and then my husband and I go through cycles of walking together, depending on the weather. And for a while, I couldn't do that because I've been having really bad plantar fasciitis, which is extremely painful. And through that, I just wrote a post recently about finding classical stretch or eccentrics, which really helped heal my plantar fasciitis. And I did all of those at home with my husband often, and I'm still doing those. So now I'm back to jazzercise, which I had stopped also because of my foot pain. But I really like this eccentrics now, so I'm doing that at home. So now I have some more options. So sometimes I schedule in, hey, I need to get out of here and go exercise and do some aerobic type of stuff. And then also, that just didn't happen today, I can fit in some eccentrics, which I really like. Ooh, I don't know if you could hear that. I still find, even that the kids are older, that as soon as I put it in and start, somebody needs help with a math problem or something comes up. So it still is a little tricky. One time I scolded my kids because I said, it has taken me 1 hour to do this 25-minute workout. And then we laughed about that later, but at that moment I was not laughing. All right. Okay, a few tips. My biggest tip to fitting in exercise is, if you're going to work out in the morning, wear your exercise clothes to bed. That was the only way I was able to get out of the house at 5:30 a.m. If you're working out later or you want to work out that day, put on your workout clothes first thing in the morning. I don't know if this is just me, but one of the things that really blocks me from doing that is I look at my watch and I say, oh my gosh, I have to leave in 5 minutes. And because I'm leaving to go somewhere again, I need to have like clothes that don't stink and match. And that ends up taking me longer. And I hate being late to exercise class. So wear your clothes. Just put them on first thing in the morning. It's also kind of a cue, at least it is for my kids and my family. Oh, mom's wearing exercise clothes. Hey, mom, are you doing jazzercise today? Or what time are you leaving? And it really keys them into the fact that I might be heading out to exercise, which also I think is a great modeling. That's good modeling for your kids to see you taking care of yourself, especially if you have girls, I think. Hi, Kim. Okay, one more tip to fit it in. So another reason, like exercise always takes longer than, like you think I have a 1 hour workout. Well, for me, that always became 2 hour chunk out of my day because I got to get ready to go. I have to drive there, so 15 minutes away. I have to drive back, and then I have to shower and clean myself and de-sweatify. Not every single time, but if these days, I'm pretty much going somewhere every day. There was a time that I look back fondly on where I wasn't going somewhere every day. I could get away with being a little stinky around the people who care a little less, but it's a 2 hour chunk. So one big hint, dry shampoo. Find a good dry shampoo. So then you're just like cleaning your face, pits, and then making sure your hair is somewhat manageable and not too embarrassing to be seen in. So yeah, and then, like Mel said here, once it's part of your routine, it gets easier. And it does. It's just part of your routine. I'm finding now, though, that my routine, I don't have a great routine anymore because my kids have different activities that are always changing. My husband works a job that is not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So every week looks different. This is another reason I use Plan to Eat for menu planning is because I don't have a regular schedule. So kids' activities are all over the place. And now I'm actually doing some other work too with a really varied schedule. So I don't have a really set routine anymore, and that's made it a lot harder for me to say I'm doing this. It's all over the place. So I like that I have some of the options now of doing jazzercise and also eccentrics. And I hope that you have something you really like to do and that some of these tips helped you a little bit, at least think about how you might structure your day, either doing it first thing in the morning, scheduling it in, getting it part of your routine, putting on those workout clothes first thing in the morning so that you have no excuse. I mean, you look down at yourself and you say, oh yeah, I really should just go ahead and work out. I've got these clothes on, and then I can change out of them. So those are some of my tips for fitting in working out. One of the things that didn't work here, I was going to try to simultaneously broadcast this to Facebook Live while doing it to YouTube. So I've set up a YouTube channel to put some of these up, but none of what I planned worked. So thank you for bearing with me. It's good to see some of you here, and my next video is going to be about some work at home options that might be of interest to some of you. Oh, I have a few more comments. Living Proof dry shampoo. And then we got some for one of my daughters that has been working well for her. I think it's just that Batiste, something like that at Target. Kim, you've never slept in your gym clothes? Oh my gosh, I did it for like 2 years. But then I could just seriously roll out of bed, put on my shoes, and go. Now, I do admit that I occasionally showed up to work out with my clothes inside out or backwards, but the 5:30 a.m. crew is pretty forgiving for stuff like that because I would get dressed in the dark, so I'd put on the night before, or I would just lay it right there. So I'd put like one extra layer on if it was cold, and sometimes it would be inside out. So even if you have to wear inside out clothes, folks, go ahead and put those clothes on and do your workout. And maybe you put those clothes on and even still work out at home, and then it doesn't even matter if your clothes are inside out or matching or have holes in them. Take it from me, it doesn't matter. You still get a good workout. Thanks, guys. See you next time.